Hello, whoever decided to click on this video. Today I'm going to be making an off-road crazy kart with a Power Wheels body. Okay, so what do I mean by an off-road crazy kart? So, obviously this is a crazy kart, regular, whatever. They're one-wheel drive in the front, they have two caster wheels in the back so that you can drift. My plan is to make a version of that with a bigger front tire and a much bigger caster wheel. So hopefully it will be able to go on dirt trails and gravel and things like that without immediately failing. I'm also going to be putting this body of a Maserati Power Wheels car on it so that we can get kind of a rally car aesthetic to it, since it will be able to kind of drift and go on dirt tracks and things like that. So let's get into it. Alright, so this is my first sketch for the steering wheel. I like it, I really like the look. I do really like this flat line, but I'm thinking with it only being kind of the underside of a wheel, it'll be good for turning this way with one hand, but it won't be good for turning this way with one hand, because most of the time in this cart, you'll have one hand here and one hand on the lever. So I'm thinking that this are gonna have to just move up a certain ways just to make it enough to turn. I do like that it favors the bottom side, like there's more on the bottom than the top. So I'm going to cut these out and then just see where I feel like it fits. Okay, so I got the steering wheel all welded up. It's good enough looking for me, and going to slap some black paint on it, mainly so it doesn't rust right now. And then I'll still have to drill the holes once I get the parts that this mounts to. But yeah, I'm really happy with that. I think you'll be able to turn all the way 180 this way, and then all the way 180. You can kind of push on the end of that to get the 180. So I think it'll be pretty good. came in the mail. Let's open it up. Yes. But as far as me actually fitting in it now, it's a bit tight. But I think it'll look cool once it's done.
Oh,
The seat will
I
flex.
see everything just compressing. Are you waiting for it?
Yeah, buddy. Okay, so my feet don't fit in the car. We're gonna have to make some adjustments later. But in order to drive it, there is a remote control for like the parents of the kids. And who needs pedals, bro? Who needs pedals? Bro, I am a speed demon. This is full turn. This thing. Bob in! Bob in! Smooth. That is supposed to. Yeah, buddy! Oh, it's in like parts that it won't go.
Milo!
Oh, that's too slow. It's so bad. The whole cart, I can just feel it like flexing under my weight. You see me rolling, you hating, trying to catch me riding dirty. I'm full turning right now, it's not turning. Time for the cheapest power wheels I could find on Amazon. Your feet actually fit? Bro, I could not do it. There's a horn? Wait, play it again? I don't think it...
It's so laggy, I press it like half a second later it honks.
Bro, it's so quiet. Okay.
Hit a drift! Drift!
Bruh, I could push you quicker. Yeah.
Feel the whole thing twist like this whenever I go up. So
I bet it won't even drive in the grass.
just a big mistake.
Well, it moved.
No, it stopped.
So it completely stopped working. All the lights wouldn't turn on. We just, well, I don't know. We just let it sit for a second. It turned back on. So we probably hit whatever like trip sensor. I don't even know if this thing would have something like that.
Probably noticed that the motor was overdoing itself and just died. Just cut off power.
Anyways, we're gonna upgrade this thing just a little bit.
Just a little
Just a tiny bit. Alright, I'm going to see if I can try to reuse this tiny seat that the Power Wheels came with. But obviously not for a full seat because I don't think that'd work out. But I'm going to cut it right here, notch a little notch out, and then I'm going to see if with some heat I can get it to straighten out and it can be the back of my seat. the soldering iron, I smoothed this all out, just kind of ran it over the surface. And then I went ahead and sanded it. Hold on, this won't focus. Focus! There you go. Then I went ahead and sanded it, and you know, it does turn this like light color, but I'm pretty sure hit it with the heat gun and that'll go away. So let's try that out. Okay, it kind of started to go away. It's definitely better, but I think a torch will work better for this. So, always fun to play with fire. Alright, brought that color back, a good dark black, but I do think I need to do a little more work because now that's a lot more visible. So, I'm going to work on it for a bit, and I'll show you when I'm done. Alrighty, that looks pretty good to me, especially since it'll be kind of down in the car, who cares. I ended up kind of putting some texture on it by heating it up and pressing just this little nylon cord against it. Okay, so this morning I'm going to start on cutting away the entire floor of this thing. Don't need any of it. I might keep just this center section just for the structural stability of this plastic car. But all this is going to get removed. I'm going to cut as much out away from this so I have like room for my hips. And then it'll get cut all the way back to the back with just, you know, maybe a 1/4 inch here at the back for structural ability. But trying to push that seat as far back as I can. I'm going to cut out this entire floorboard. This entire dash is getting removed so that my feet can go all the way to the front. To mark the lines for the back of this thing, I took my caliper, opened it up to the size I wanted, and then I kind of scratched in a line. It's kind of hard to see, but you can kind of see it in the light there, all the way around so that it's the same thickness edge. Got this cut away. The floor part is quite sturdy-ish, you know, for plastic. The back part's pretty wobbly, but there'll be metal going between all this, so not too worried about that. Gives me a lot more room to sit back here. So now I'm going to move on to cutting the front part out and removing this dash and everything. And I am not going to film that because this camera needs to charge, but I'll show you when I'm done. Alright, I got it all cut out. Looking good. Much more stable than I anticipated, so that's good. Let's see if I fit in it. I lean the seat back. Steering wheel's up here. Yeah, I think maybe a little bit of clearance right here so that my shins aren't hitting this so bad. I might have to extend it back a little bit. Not gonna lie, because while I do fit in here like this, if I put a seat here that moves me forward like this, that's pretty tight. I'll have to think about it. Alright, so I've done some thinking, and I think I need a little bit more room. Now, I don't want to go backwards because I don't want to cut this body up and make it look all funky in the back. Because it would be really hard to recreate these curves and things for an extension. So, I think instead, I'm going to take the windshield and move it forward about 2 inches. That'll give my legs a bit more room to just be able to go to the front of this car. And then, this is actually pretty comfortable with the seat in the back and everything. It's not bad. I also set the tires here because they're gonna be sitting on the outside like this, because this car is gonna get a wide body. It's gonna look like a wide bodied car because the caster wheels in the back are gonna have to stick out far enough that they don't hit me. And I have big caster wheels coming. So they're already gonna be sticking out. So if I make the front wheels stick out and I give it a wide body kit, it'll look good. Okay, so I just went to the store and I got this. This is going to be my axle. If I had like a full go-kart going on with an engine and everything, I wouldn't use a pipe for an axle. I'd use, you know, solid, like a regular axle should be. But the axle is probably gonna be, you know, this long, and it's really not taking that much abuse or anything, so I'm not super worried about this. Plus it's an inch thick, or an inch wide, or diameter, and it's a pretty thick tube, so I'm not too worried about that. And then I also got this pipe that will pressure fit onto this, I promise. Pressure fits down onto that, and it'll be the center of my wheel. Let me go grab that. So this is just a go-kart wheel we had laying around, and the center had bearings in it, but obviously you don't want bearings to put it onto an axle, so I'm going to take this tube, which is pretty dang close in size, and I'm going to weld it in there, and then that will keep it on the axle. Alright, got my sleeve here. Now I'm going to drill a hole in it right here and tap it, so then I can put this screw on there so that once it goes on to that shaft, tighten the screw down and it'll lock it in place. Alright, there you go. I'm also going to weld this nut on there because I think just tapping through this isn't enough threads to keep the screw in there. I don't want it falling out while I'm riding, especially since this is going to be spinning a whole lot. So here I'm putting sand down into the tube using a funnel. So the reason that I'm doing this is so that I can pack the sand really tightly into the tube, and then when I go to bend the tube, it won't fold. It won't crush under its own weight, theoretically. I've never tried this before, so let's see how it goes. Now there was a method that I was going to try for this, so you'll hear me talking about wire in this next clip. I ended up just not putting in the video for time's sake, so let's move on. Okay, so I was just down here looking to see if we had wire over here. You can't see any of that, but there was wire over here. Not really good for what we were doing, so I started looking at other options. And this part of our trailer, I can stick the pipe into like this and then bend it, and then bend it, and then bend it. And I was like, oh, you know, this might work. So I tested it out, and I don't know if you can see, but there is a slight bend in this tube, and so I can just keep working it and keep working it. It is gonna give these little like dimples on the back a little bit, but you won't be able to see the back side, and the front side's looking really good. So as long as it doesn't crush and I move enough, I think this will work. So I'm gonna give it a go. so I just got all the electronics in the kit, and this is the motor I'm going to be putting in there. I just thought, oh man, this thing's beefy. Hopefully this thing makes us rip. Also, I just thought about this. I wonder what it is compared to the original motors in the Power Wheels. Just slight upgrades. Alright, it's all wired up. First test. Let's see, we got ignition on, one. That's 1, 2. Going pretty good. Okay, so this pipe that I was going to use for the axle is not going to work because while the end measures as 1 inch and this other tube fits over it, when I actually got the 1 inch parts or 1 inch axle, they only slightly go onto the threads because on pipes like this, I forgot about this, the threads start smaller and get bigger so that they, lock up better once you put them on there. So this actually measures 0.05 over an inch, which is considerably too much for this to slide down over there. So instead, I picked up this tube. It's actually 1 inch. It'll have to get hammered on there, but this is going to be my axle. Again, it's a tubing and it's even thinner than the other stuff, but I'm really not that worried about it because it's literally like the axle's going to be like this long. So I don't think that you can bend this with all the weight that this cart has and all my weight. Like, I just doubt that this will ever bend or crumple. I'll probably weld washers on the end to give it some strength and stuff. So, but now this tire is super loose on this axle, which we can't have that. So I'm going to cut a chunk of this out that's the same width as that, is the sleeve that I put in there, and I'm going to cut a slot down the side of it, bend it open, put it around this, and then sand it down to whatever it needs to be to fit inside of there as like a collar to keep that super tight, because it's got quite a bit of gap in there. So let's do that. Alright, I got my axle assembly all assembled here. So boom, nice and tightened up there. Got the bearings on either end, and then the gear mount here. Alright, I just used the Dremel to cut out these little notches because I just bought this separate from the kit with the motor and all that stuff, and this came with the motor kit. And those holes, these big ones, were close but not quite it. So I just Dremeled it out so that they fit right there. And yeah, this online, this didn't have measurements for the hole distances on this, so I didn't look too hard for anything specific. Figured I'd have to modify it either way, so I didn't want to wait. So this is impatience is what this is. Alright, here's my basic sketch for the bottommost parts of the frame. So we got that piece of pipe that I bent the other day that follows the front of the cart, comes back, comes out, lines the side panel of the car, then comes back for a seat mount and lines the back, the flat back part of the car. And then it comes in so much here because I want as much room as I can get here for the swivelly wheels because they're big and they need all this room. For those of you wondering why I haven't connected this line together for structural ability, the front wheel will be in this area, so we can't really get away with that. I might have to end up putting some gusseting into here, but it'll also all be supported by towers that come up right here for the steering part to hold all the front wheel and everything, so I think we'll be plenty fine like that. So I ended up using galvanized tubing for the frame of this thing because it's cheap and readily available, but galvanized tubing, when you weld on it and it heats up, you get a very poisonous gas. So you can see in this clip, I sanded all of the coating off of at least the outside of the tubes and as much of the inside of the tubes as I could. And then I had a fan next to me the whole time and I held my breath while I was welding, and I didn't have any problems with it so far. So let's hope I don't get lung cancer or something, but that's why I did it. I don't recommend it, but that's what I did. Okay, so I've been looking at this for a little while, pondering, and I'm working on the system for the caster wheels to go in place here, and then pivot, so that you have straight mode and drift mode. So, my thoughts, I'm going to use my old shackles, my stock shackles from my Jeep, and the sleeves that were inside the rubber. So, these are gonna be my pivot points, so it's gonna pivot right on here. So, we're gonna have a handle with a bar that comes back here, so that bar will be moving like this. This is gonna go over the plastic here. It's gonna be moving like this. We're going to have one of the rods coming through here, straight through, which is gonna weld to this outside of here. So then that can go like this. And then for the pivot point for this to pivot on, I'm gonna cut the ends off of another one of these, weld it just below that, and have another boom pivot point that will be welded to the frame with some bracketry and stuff. And so this whole thing will pivot like this. It's a lot to do. And if it doesn't make sense, whatever, it's gonna, you're gonna see me do it. Alright, this is a basketball hoop and backstop that I liberated from the side of the road. Don't worry about it. But it's going to be the plastic I use for the bottom of the seat. Oh, and I'm going to reuse this metal. These bars are going to end up being the supporting beams for the seat. I'm going to use this part from the Power Wheels, the original Power Wheels, and it's going to be my frame that'll get embedded down into that. Now for the supporting structure on the back of the seat, I'm going to be using the seat part of this old motorcycle frame in our barn. So I'm going to be cutting it probably right about here. Alright, there's the seat box where all the electronics will go. Battery and the speed controller and all the wires. And everything will come out from there. Probably put the key somewhere here too. But yeah, I think it turned out pretty good. I plan on sealing it up with some silicone or some caulking or something that's paintable. And then hopefully it won't get a bunch of dirt in it. Alright, so we got the box with the seat on it. And the seat has a hinge put on it now, so you can hinge it up and get into the back. There's this piece of plastic here, which I will attach to here, and then boom, you'll be able to access your electronics. I'll seal this box up and I'll put a rubber seal all the way on the outside, and then boom, seals up. You can just get in it. I was thinking about maybe putting a latch on this side, but honestly I think you're sitting on it, so it's not like it's gonna come up. So I don't know, I might put a latch, but for now I'm not going to. But yeah, it's pretty dope. Okay, unfortunately, this is all I have time for in this video. In the next video, I hope to get the bracketry done for the handle and the caster wheels. Hopefully I can get the steering column done and the mount for the motors and all that stuff. And hopefully in the next video I can do the first test drive. So if you don't want to miss that, please subscribe to the channel, Drop a like on this video to let me know that this is what you guys want to see. I'll see you in the next one.